I'm Rebecca Brand, and today's recipe is a garden vegetable recipe because it's summertime and those vegetables need a picking and need an eating. So in this recipe, whatever you got is what you put. I got my vegetables from my friend's garden. I was gifted sweet green bell peppers and also backyard garden tomatoes. These are treasures. My friend had a whole lot of varieties. Any variety works for this recipe. The ones at the grocery store just don't compare. This has been in my window trying to ripen for 2 weeks. It's still hard, it's still yellow, and I'm sure it doesn't taste good at all. Whereas this healthy beefsteak is beautiful red, smells delicious, and I already taste tested another one. They taste delicious too. I'm about ready to give up. The ingredients for this dish are the stars, the vegetables from your backyard garden or your friends. And today, it's sweet green bell peppers and the tomatoes. This is a completely vegan recipe. I'm using olive oil and I'm adding, for some punch, some hot chili flakes, salt, and our pasta. And I'm using capellini for the delicateness of that with those vegetables. And getting into our healthy planet and a healthy garden, we also want to get into healthy cooking with the latest in induction cooking technology. I reached out to NuWave to sponsor this video because this is a healthy environmental way of cooking, and later in the video I give lots of information about this technology. So for the fastest route to the finish line, let's get cooking. You're going to need a pot magnetically charged, so that means a magnet will stick to it. Pot 2. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines on high. From pot 1 to pot 2. I want to cook fast today. So I put it on max sear. And let's get that water boiling. Wow, it's already hot. And put a lid on it. So cut up your bell pepper first. And I cut it thin, but I avoid the seeds. But this is a fast way to cut. What you want is a beautiful exterior. And you're going to throw that away. But don't plant these seeds. Because if you get your seeds from a seed packet, it's likely a hybrid. And that would mean what's in here is not going to make the same bell pepper that you're going to be eating today. It just doesn't work like that with horticulture. And chop into strips so you can see how beautiful your food is when you're eating it. You'll know what you're eating so you can taste that flavor. Add 3 tablespoons of olive oil to your hot pan. And immediately put in your bell pepper. Because what you don't want is for that oil to burn. So you got to do it right away, the same step. And give it a stir. And now I'm going to prep my tomatoes, but the tomatoes go in absolutely last. I'm going to have a little diced tomatoes in those today with some cherry tomatoes that we're going to cut in half. Because if you don't cut them in half, somebody's going to take a bite and it's going to squish out and hit you in the face. And while the pepper is sauteing, I'm taking just a little bit of chili flakes because I want that oil to be slightly hot. So give it a toss. Oh yeah. Now, we got to turn that down because I'm already getting browning on my beautiful bell pepper. So to medium we go. And in only 4 minutes, dinner is almost ready. It's time to put the capellini in. So I'm putting in about a handful of the capellini and give that a stir because it's all got to fit in the pot. And you sure don't want it to stick together. So give it a little love and some salt because you want it a little seasoned. So with our peppers on medium, they're finishing cooking, and our capellini going, it's time to add our tomatoes. If you were to cook these on too high of a temperature, then what would happen is the seeds get bitter. All you want to do with tomatoes is just warm them up. So I put the NuWave on high because I want a little tiny bit of sizzle to those tomatoes. Boy, that smells delicious. That is just those sweet bell peppers, the garden tomatoes, and that capellini is done. Time for the drain. There we go. So turn your noodles on low because we want to keep them warm. Oh, and those vegetables are done. We're putting them on low too. I'm just adding just a little bit of salt. Oh yeah. Off goes your NuWave Induction stovetop because it's time to eat. And once this cooktop is off, there's no more heat coming up. It's amazing. So you can put a bowl right on it. It's so easy to clean as well, in case you made a spill, like I did with all of the grease that splattered out of my vegetables. You can give it a wipe in the middle of your cooking even, because that's not that hot. It only has the heat of the pan that was there, but it's not hot now. That's how quickly it cools down. Time for the noodles. Oh yeah. And the star, our garden vegetables. Oh wow. Doesn't that look great? And get all that oil, because that's going to flavor your pasta. And just for the fun of it, a little extra drizzle of olive oil. Drizzle, drizzle, drazzle, drool. Isn't it fun to be in cooking school? Time for the bite. That is so pure. It's so delicious. It's so vegan. This recipe is good for any meal of the day. Hey, add an egg to make it breakfast. Oh, and watch all this about NuWave while I take a little break and eat my lunch. You might know me because I have a cooking channel on YouTube with over 700 recipes. So you'll see all those recipes made on my gas stove. In the things I research in the world, I've been studying climate change. It's certainly become a big factor in our daily lives. I live in Santa Barbara, California, and that's where I produce all of my videos. January 1st, 2023, California has banned all gas appliances to be put in new homes for new construction. Any new home would have to be built with an electric cooktop. I grew up in a house in Santa Barbara with a coil old-fashioned electric cooktop. Back in my day, those were very expensive to run, and those red coils would burn you. You never knew if that stove was off or not, and a kid could put their hand in there because it wasn't quite red. And oh, it caused a lot of harm to kids. And it was really hard to use because they took forever to warm up and to cool down. The new induction cooktops heat up instantly. They're very high wattage. And once you pick up the pan, it's cool to the touch. Gas stoves burn fossil fuel, and they emit gases within your household environment that are just unhealthy. Those flames that are making your food cook, they're producing a nitrous oxide, a carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and a formaldehyde. Not good for your health. Yes, natural gas stoves are better than burning fossil fuel. And when fossil fuels are burned and natural gas is burned, it's emitting that CO2 and other greenhouse gases that are bad for the environment into the atmosphere. On the other hand, induction cooktops don't emit any gases. I researched on the internet for excellent induction cooking at a reasonable price with the most power, and I found NuWave. I reached out to them to sponsor this video, and they said they would, because I have a lot of message to give you about induction cooking, which is what all new houses in California are going to have in their kitchens. And by 2030, no gas stoves are going to be allowed to be sold in California, and maybe the whole United States. Let's talk about how induction cooking works. Induction burners and stoves work by directly putting the heat right into the pans themselves. Underneath this slick-looking cooktop are coils that are made out of copper. And electricity runs through those coils to create a high intensity of an electromagnetic field. Let me illustrate that. The copper is copper wire. It's coiled very tightly, and electricity is going to pass through all of that copper wire. That's all coiled up, and that's going to produce an electric magnetic field, which is going to induce an electric current into the pan. Hence the word induction. And NuWave has created a precision induction cooktop. Each one of these has their patented precision induction. The surfaces of all of these cooktops has the NuWave Precision Induction Cooktops Double heat-resistant glass surface to ensure when you take your pan off, this is going to be cool to the touch and easy to clean. The NuWave PIC Double induction coils generates a magnetic field right into your pan. And that produces the warming reaction within iron and steel pots and pans. You might be like me and have collected quite an assortment of pots and pans over your cooking career, including cast irons and a lot of Revereware with a copper bottom. And like me, you might have a lot of magnets on your refrigerator. Well, this will come in handy, from which you can choose in order to do a magnet test. Because if a magnet sticks, that's a pan you can use on your new induction stove. Well, let's try a few. We'll try the one in the back That doesn't work. Try this one. That worked. This is one of those ceramics non-stick interiors with a steel bottom, so that's a great one to use. This one that didn't work was a copper-plated steel pot, so that's not going to work. And neither will the aluminums. Your pots and pans must contain ferromagnetic metal. That's why a magnet will stick to it. So do the magnet test before you start your cooking. I didn't want to have to wait until I got rid of my gas stove to start using my new induction stove by Nuwave. So I put a piece of drywall down and I put the Nuwave stove right on it. This is how I get to use it right now in my space. It's a 110 volt, 2-prong outlet that plugs in to any normal household outlet, just like that. And if you have a small apartment, all you need is just a little counter space for the one-pot cooktop model. This is a very good interim solution to get started on induction cooking. So I have a little experiment. I have my Nuwave cooktop on the right side. I'm going to put my 10.5-inch skillet here. This stove has normal sized burners. We're going to turn it on. 2 cups of water. And 2 cups of water on the Nuwave induction stove. I'm going to turn this on by hitting the watts. I want it the highest watts. So that is the highest. And it's off to the races. I wanted to test the rate of how a 15 watt, the highest power of an induction cooktop, did versus my gas stove. I want you to keep in mind that these are skillet pans, and skillet pans will lose a whole lot of heat when they're cooking. This is why people will put lids on their pots to cook. It just comes to a boil that much faster with a lid on it, because that's going to retain the heat within your pan and your food of what you're trying to cook. But for this particular demonstration purpose, I didn't have tops on because I wanted you to see it come up to that simmer. Now here we go. About minute 7, it came up to that simmer, those little tiny bubbles, and that's at 210 degrees. Both of these skillets sitting here open air with all the heat escaping, both came up to a simmer at the same time. Now I'm going to take this one off and I'm going to touch this to let you know it's not burning me. It's warm from the heat from this touching it, but it's not sizzling hot. Automatically, the Nuwave induction cooker stopped cooking, and when I put the pot back on, it began resuming and cooking. I love that smart technology. So now I'm turning it off by pressing pause and clear. Done. I am so enthusiastic about cooking with my new induction cooktops from Nuwave. Click link below to get yours. They have all kinds of models. I've given you a few demonstrations from the ones right here on my counter, but they've got a full line of them. They're amazing. I'm Rebecca Brand. Thanks for watching this video. I hope I've inspired you to cook something healthy and good with this new way of cooking, which is better for our environment, which is one of the key reasons why I'm excited to learn more and do more recipes with induction cooking. I hope you subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to get notified of my next video, and let's keep making great recipes in life. And today's recipe is with induction cooking, the new way to go. See you next time. I have more vegetarian recipes right over here, and also some chicken for chickens like me.